sir. You are live.
Well, thank you. Good evening. This is the City of Morro Bay City Council meeting. This is a regular meeting. Today is Tuesday, December 8th, 2020. It's 5:30 p.m. This meeting is being held via teleconference. And pursuant to Section 3 of Executive Order number N29-20, issued by Governor Newsom on March 17th, 2020, this meeting will be conducted telephonically through Zoom and broadcast live on cable channel 20 and streamed to the city website. Please be advised that pursuant to the executive order and to ensure the health and safety of the public by limiting human contact that could spread the corona-19 virus, the Veterans Hall will not be open for this public meeting. Thank you and good evening. Madam Clerk, will you establish a quorum, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Addis?
Here.
Councilmember Davis?
I am present.
Councilmember Heller?
Here.
Councilmember McPherson? Here. And Mayor Heading?
Present. And thank you for that. With that, I will call the meeting to order and ask in your own way that you might remember those affected by coronavirus and all of the healthcare issues that are facing our country. And we will take a moment of silence, please. Thank you. And Madam Clerk, if you'll display the flag, we'll go ahead with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic it stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Niermeyer, is there a closed session report, sir?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. No closed session items to report tonight.
Thank you. With that, I will move to Mayor and Council members' reports. I'll go ahead and start off. Obviously, as our community members probably know, our COVID numbers are skyrocketing across the nation, our state, and in San Luis Obispo County. The case counts are impacting hospital and critical care capacity, putting lives at risk. In response, Governor Newsom issued a new state order for sheltering at home, secondary to the clumping together of a number of counties into what we call regions. We are part of a Southern California region, and when the availability of intensive care unit beds goes below 15%, more stringent restrictions kick in. As a result of that, in our region that we're part of, we have fallen below that threshold, unfortunately. The new shelter-at-home order is impacting most of the state. As a result of that, our restaurants now are limited to takeout only. No more outdoor or indoor seating is allowed. Retail is limited to 20% of capacity. Gyms, personal care services, barber shops, nail salons, etc., have been ordered closed. And the state will assess how we're doing in 3 weeks. So this will go on for at least 3 more weeks. And then we will be reassessed to see if indeed these restrictions can be lifted due to possibly an improvement in those ICU bed numbers. Because of the Thanksgiving holiday and significant travel that occurred, we are just beginning to see what I would consider to be the peaking of cases due to that. Over the next 3 to 5 days, we may see further significant increases or a surge in COVID cases, not only in our county, but across the country. I want to just ask our community to please continue to do your part in wearing masks, especially obviously when outside of your home. If you're not able to social distance, it's particularly important that you wear a mask. There are new guidelines for the type of mask to wear. You can go to the CDC website for their recommendations, and I suggest that you do that to understand which masks are best designed to protect you. This order impacts many of our local businesses, as you know. As a result, we're happy, that is the City Council is happy to announce that we are sending out over $100,000 in small business grants this week, paid for through Senate Bill 1090 economic funds from the pending closure of Diablo Canyon Nuclear Plant. None of these funds come from the city's general fund. This will help keep up to 20 businesses and their employees up and running through this very challenging time. We'd also ask that you remember our local businesses and consider shopping locally first, especially during the holiday season, to support our retail entities as well as our restaurants and businesses in general. I want to give a special thanks to our Morro Bay Chamber of Commerce, who have provided lots of information and business assistance to our businesses. If you're interested in finding out what they've done for businesses, you can go to www.morrochamber.org and get further information. This has been a tough year, but we're hopeful because of the approval in the last 2 weeks of 2 very effective vaccines for COVID-19. Distribution will begin next week. Our county will begin to receive an initial shipment that will be reserved for very high-risk patients in nursing homes and for frontline healthcare workers, with plans for distribution to the general public, including other high-risk populations over the ensuing weeks. The city is going to be offering a flu vaccination, not a COVID-19 vaccination, but a flu vaccination clinic on Thursday, December 17th at St. Timothy's Church parking lot from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. This will be a drive-through, stick out your arm and get your flu vaccine opportunity. There'll be no charge to our community. It is highly recommended that you protect yourself against the seasonal flu, which will improve your ability to fight off COVID-19 if you're not susceptible to the annual flu that goes around each year. So that again is Thursday, December 17th, St. Timothy's Church parking lot from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. We encourage you to visit the city's website at www.morrobayca.gov to get further information regarding COVID-19 and the impacts on our county. Lastly, you can visit ReadySlow, that's ReadySlo.org, to get updates on a daily basis with regard to San Luis Obispo County and the specific impacts of COVID-19. From myself and the council, I want to wish you all a very, very happy and safe holiday. And remember, now is the time to be responsible. Frequent hand washing, social distancing, the wearing of masks, and the consideration for getting the vaccination when it's available. Thank you so much. And for that, I'll turn to Councilmember Heller. Any announcements, sir?
Okay, I'm unmuted. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very well said, and I appreciate your leadership in this time. It's a challenging time for everybody. A few weeks ago, a friend of mine turned to me and he said, "What can I do to help Morro Bay?" And I thought for a moment, but I immediately said, "Spend your money here." And I encourage everybody to do that to the extent that you can. Buy takeout food, buy and shop locally. Avoid the online shopping as much as you can, and get whatever you can here in the city. Our businesses need it. The second thing I said to him is, look, walk outside your house. You live in a beautiful place. Get out and enjoy it with your friends and family. That was my advice, and that's my advice to the residents of Morro Bay. We're in a tough time, but we live in a beautiful place, and we're gonna get through it just fine. I hope you all have a great holiday. That's it.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Addis, any announcements?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that you brought up the chamber. I was talking to Erica Crawford, the CEO, and she reminded me that the Workforce Development Board is giving out grants of $1,500. And that is kind of seen as right now money. They're easy to apply for, in her words, and it's money that could help business get through a tough time right now, which certainly this is. So she encouraged folks to go to the Morro Bay Chamber website to look for those slow workforce development boards. And then I would just add to Councilmember Heller for how people can help Morro Bay is also give your time and join one of our boards and commissions. We just received an email today about how many of the city's boards and commissions have opportunities for people to join, whether it's the Harbor Advisory Board or the Rec and Park, PWAB or CFAC, and there's probably a couple others on there. And so would really encourage folks to get involved because it's a great place to be able to contribute. So in addition to spending money, I hope that you'll also give some time and join us in the quest to keep making Morro Bay a better place to be.
Thank you, Councilmember Addis. Councilmember Davis, sir, any announcements?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Tonight, I want to recognize one of our special Morro Bay citizens, Ken McMillan. Ken owns DeStasio's restaurant on Morro Bay Boulevard, where he and his son serve up great Italian food every night. Ken was on the Chamber of Commerce board for much of my adult life, and he played an important part in the transition of the chamber to becoming a catalyst for change and improvement. Ken has also demonstrated his faith in the future of our city by continuing to invest in business properties to help support future growth. So I want to thank Ken for hanging in and helping to lead our business community. And I will add on to that today is the 5th employment anniversary for Erica Crawford, our chamber CEO. It was 5 years ago today that I was on the board of the Chamber Board of Directors, and we completed an employment contract for Erica. And congratulations, Erica, and thank you for serving us so well. And finally, I will have office hours this coming Saturday from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock at the Giant Chessboard. I invite anyone to come down and talk, and please wear a face covering. So that's it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilmember Davis. Councilmember McPherson, please.
Yes. Thank you very much. And let me just add on to Councilmember Addis's announcements and say that those advisory board applications are due December 31st. And it is a great way to begin to get involved in your community, and you learn so much. Let me also announce the kickoff of a fundraising effort by the Friends of the Harbor, Morro Bay Harbor Department. And you may recall that in October, the council approved an $85,000 grant contract with the California Department of Parks and Recreation's Division of Boating and Waterways. And that grant was to purchase a Port San Luis surplus 26-foot Harbor Patrol vessel. And that boat will replace one that has been in service in Morro Bay past its useful life. The newly purchased vessel, however, which is used, needs work to make it serviceable. And so, Dana, if you would put up that information, the Friends of the Morro Bay Harbor Department have taken on the challenge of raising $100,000 to refurbish the patrol boat, and it is asking the community to help. So to donate money, please send a check to the Friends of the Morro Bay Harbor Department, P.O. Box 718. It's on the screen, Morro Bay, CA 93443. Or you can donate online at friendsofthembhd.org. And I thank you, Dana. That's great. I hope everybody recognizes that they provide such a valuable service to the community in rescuing, in giving warnings, in patrolling, and they need this boat. So we're going to dig into our pockets to help them out. And so I too wish everybody a happy holidays and a happy new year.
Thank you, Councilmember McPherson. Mr. Collins, any announcements, sir?
Yes, here I come. Thank you, Mayor, council members, and community members. Yeah, just wanted to add one other thing to the discussion. We are going to extend $84,000 in grants to about 20 small businesses later this week. There was a process established by council where they outlined $100,000 from Senate Bill 1090 funds to help our small businesses in increments up to $5,000 per grant. And great cast of businesses that submitted applications. We're able to fund all, I believe, 20 that submitted applications to help them pay for things like their PPE equipment or rent or things to keep their businesses operating and functional during these very tough times. And council also added more funds earlier in the day today. So we have about $50,000 remaining that we can grant in the second round. So just wanted to extend our thanks to the chamber to get the word out, to get all these great applicants to submit. And also just to echo again what the mayor said earlier, that we will be offering a flu vaccination clinic, a free clinic next week on Thursday, December 17th, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at St. Tim's parking lot. Thank you so much to St. Tim's for offering that. And thank you so much to Fire Chief Knuckles for spearheading this effort to help us really. It's great to get the flu vaccine out, but also to do a test run for when the COVID vaccine is deployed. This will give us a great head start in doing that effectively and efficiently. And every single department is playing a role in making this a success. So I just wanted to extend my thanks for that.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate that very much. With that, that brings us to presentations. We have a couple of presentations this evening, and I'll turn it over to either Mr. Collins or to Dana for that presentation. Thanks.
Yes, great. Thank you, Mayor. It's going to be 2 video presentations, given that we are living with COVID. The first will be service pin awards for employees who have reached important milestones. I won't say much more since you'll see me on the video, giving these pins out to our employees in a socially distanced and safe event we held over 2 months ago prior to the recent surge in COVID. It's really a great opportunity to acknowledge the major contributions made by staff. And then the second presentation is for our kids club, who is phenomenal, set up by our recreation division, Kirk leading the way, but with Angelica and Amanda being able to pull together a team to provide childcare and schooling, basically schooling support for almost 50 children who otherwise would have a tough time because their parents need to work. So just thrilled with that. That video, there's an audio issue, so you'll just kind of see it screen through pictures of our kids participating in that and letters from parents thanking our recreation staff for their great service. And then a note from the principal from Del Mar Elementary. So I'll start off with the service pin award presentation, then move on to the next one. So if you humor me for a second, I'm going to try to share my screen. There we go. Can you see it?
No.
Okay, so I gotta fix something here. 1 second. All right.
Sorry about that, Scott. I thought I was sharing it, so I was
No, that's okay.
stepping on your toes.
Sorry about that. We'll get it right here.
There you go.
Okay.
Everybody, thank you so much for taking time to come out today. This has been quite an unusual year. I don't know if we need to go into it since we've all experienced it. But one thing has held true throughout this year and the 3 years that I've been here is that just knowing that and it's really fun. Like probably the best time of the year is really to be able to acknowledge the great work of our staff. And this year we have 10 folks who have reached important milestones in their career with the City of Morro Bay. And we're going to bring those folks up one at a time and talk about them a little bit and give them their service pin. So first up, we have Dale Fulham. Thank you. Can you get the frame? All right. Stole him from the Tulare County Sheriff's Office 10 years ago. And he's been an amazing contributor to the safety of our community. He's also a very funny guy. He keeps things light because a lot of the work that PD does is tough and challenging. And you need to be able to have a sense of humor and camaraderie to bring people together. So really just want to say thank you for all your work. And next up, we have Cindy. Jason, come on up, Cindy, from the planning department. So Cindy is our senior planner, and she's been with the city for 10 years. Awesome. And she's risen through the ranks of the planning department, and has just been an amazing contributor to not only the day-to-day functions of the office, getting all the plans to go through, helping the developers get things built, and then thinking the long term about what we want our community to be, what we value, and how we're going to grow in a way that reaches the values of our community. And she also puts up with Scott Graham, which is a big deal, and has done a lot of good things in this year in COVID, helping businesses stay open, really being innovative and efficient in how we do that so that businesses can continue to thrive even with all the challenges. So for all that and much more, I'd like to thank you for your time. My buddy Clemente Galvin, 15 years with the city as a consolidated maintenance worker. 3. 2. All right, just got fun. Clem is such a hardworking guy, and he goes the extra mile just like everybody in the consolidated maintenance. We're down a couple people this year with COVID-19, but we haven't seen a decrease in the quality of service. In fact, they've stepped it up, even with all the tourists that have come in terms of dealing with trash and restrooms. But he does a phenomenal job in thinking to the future, helping our parks continue to improve, especially the work he did where I think he planted 400 to 500 new plants along the Eden Park, and it looks so amazing. We get emails all the time thanking us for that good work. And just so you all know, Clem is a gopher whisperer. If you ever have any issues with gophers, so Clem, we really just want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you. Angelica Gallardo is been here for 15 years. She is our recreation coordinator. That name doesn't really fit the bill. She is a leader in that organization, along with the other folks who help make recreation possible. Again, 2020 being the year that it's hard to believe all the changes we've had to make, all the challenges we face. We've been able to keep a semblance of normalcy. We've been able to get kids into programming where we thought that wasn't possible. We've been able to allow parents to go back to work. At least 50 different parents and groups be able to do those things that other communities simply aren't able to do. And that's because of your tenacity, your innovation, your commitment. And you can tell when I visited the kids club, the kids being able to go to school in that situation, and they were all so happy. Every time they see you, they smile. And it's the same way with all the staff. So I really just want to say thank you so much for that. She was just 15 years. Bonnie Johnson, 20 years. Can you believe it? Wow. You started when you were 15, right?
Yep.
Okay. Bonnie Johnson is the support services manager for the She's been in a lot of different departments of the city. She knows how the city works, how it functions, some of our issues and challenges. And for a city manager, she's somebody I can call to understand what's really going on. And also as a lead of our staff, somebody that they look up to and respect, somebody we can rely upon to do so many things. And I know she works on the weekends, she works overtime all the time because she's so committed to making the police department successful. And we often forget about behind the scenes crew. You know, we see the cops on line of duty and they're doing that hard work, putting their lives on the line. But managing the resources, managing HR, risk, you know, all the body camera stuff, the records, all those things have exacting requirements by the state and federal agencies. If we screw any of that up, we're in big trouble. She stays on top of that. She stays top on social media. She makes us look good out in the community. She helps connect the community to our police department. And really, it's just such an important role. For all that and more, we'd love to thank you for your service. Patrick Kelly is our Harbor Patrol supervisor. And just like everybody else I've mentioned before, had to make changes on the fly and you know, figuring out how to make boating safe in our bay. A lot of people really want to get out in the water, want to return to normalcy. And her and the team made that happen. And beyond that, looking at innovation, talking about innovation, we're able to, even with COVID, kickstart a new program for overnight RV parking, which helps, you know, do tourism responsibly, but also address some of the overnight illegal parking that's taking place. She's able to do that while running and leading the harbor team. We regularly get comments from community members about how great it looks down there, how safe it feels, and how the leaseholders down there who run the business on the waterfront feel supported by the harbor department. It has a lot to do with it. So thank you so much. And also for making the rock parking lot such a success. So many people, all the business. So thank you. A few folks who weren't able to join us today. John Gunderlock is a 20-year wastewater system supervisor. Brandon Cato, 20 years as a firefighter engineer. Jeff Simpson, 25 years firefighter engineer. And last but not least, Steve Aschenberger, 30 years as a utility operator. So again, thank you all for your tremendous work. I love you guys and you do such a good job for us. Love you, Scott.
Very nice, Scott.
Thank you. And I also want to say thank you to Amy Watkins, our police commander, who filmed all of that and spent time on her own to spruce it up with the names on it. Again, just demonstrating how much our employees accomplish is really appreciated. So glad you guys were able to see that. I'm now going to do the the Kids Club, which we referenced when bringing up Angelica, who's leading that program alongside Kirk and Amanda, who was also in the photo with Angelica. And so this one, the audio is not so great, so you're just going to see the images go by and of the kids and the letters that were submitted by parents. And this one is about 4.5 minutes, so go ahead and get it ready to go. So again, you won't probably hear any volume until we get to Janet Gold's brief comments. So here we go. I think it kind of goes through. But she was saying that. So Katie, it might be just depending on your speakers. Yeah.
Hello, this is Principal Gould from Delmar Elementary School. I am pleased to have the opportunity to express my appreciation for the Morro Bay Kids Club program. We have had a very close working relationship with our school's child care provider for years that has only grown stronger through the challenges brought on by COVID-19. Throughout this crisis, the Kids Club team has risen to the challenge and partnered with Delmar Elementary to support the learning needs of over 60 children in our community. They are managing complex schedules and making sure that our students are present for their whole class and small group Zoom sessions with their teachers, as well as all intervention specialists. They are working with students to help them complete their independent work at times of the day when they're not online with their teachers. They are providing our students with a safe, nurturing, and fun environment throughout the most difficult times we've ever faced as a community. Thank you, Kids Club, for partnering with us and being so responsive to our needs and doing all that you can to provide a sense of normalcy and belonging for so many children. We know that you are an important part of the success we are achieving in distance learning.
So thank you for allowing us to share those presentations, and thank you to Kirk, Amanda, and Angelica for making that program possible.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. I appreciate that. Just from council and myself, special thanks to Dale and Cindy and Clemente and Angelica, John, Bonnie, Brandon, Becca, Jeff, and Steve. I totaled it up. It's 185 years of service on the part of those employees. And for that, your city is so very grateful. And we're just saddened that we don't have the opportunity to be with you in person to recognize you, but want to say thank you for your service and commitment to our city. And then for our recreation team, our kids club, in a time when kids so desperately need the opportunity to gather together and be together in these challenging times of distance learning and COVID-19 pandemic stress. I'm so grateful, and I know the council is, for our recreation team and the service that you've provided. You, in a sense, put yourself at risk, have done a tremendous job in serving the kids of our community. And for that, I want to just offer our heartfelt thanks as a council for a great team of recreation staff that serves our kids. So thank you, Scott, for making sure that we had the opportunity to get those presentations tonight. And again, thanks to everybody for your service to the city. With that, that'll move us to general public comment. This is public comment for items on the agenda for which you cannot stay and you would like to comment, and or any other general public comments you'd like to make. With that, I'll go ahead and open up public comment and remind you that pursuant to Executive Order N29-20, we will be taking public comment via Zoom. The information on how to access that is now on the screen. And so with that, Zeke, do we have any general public comments, sir?
Yes, sir. And first speaker will be Betty Winholtz. You are on the line.
Welcome, Betty.
Thank you. This is Betty Winholtz. I'd like to ask a question so I can figure out what seems to be a new trend, because I don't quite get the advantage of it. And that is, it seems that the last few times that the council has dealt with budget, that they've made a special meeting in the middle of an afternoon when, like today, they could have waited and had it at the normal time in the evening when most people expect to be watching and seeing the information. So I'm wondering if you could clarify the advantage to having two separate meetings instead of one. For me, it seems like it's taking staff away from their desks during the middle of the day. It's not allowing people who work in the day to watch in the evening and then participate as well as just watching. So if you could just clear that up, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Zeke, next public comment, please.
Yes, sir. Next we have Sean Green. Sean, you are on the line.
Welcome, Sean.
Hi, Council. I just wanted to say a couple thank yous. First to Councilwoman McPherson for all of her volunteer service while part of the council. There are a lot of long nights and a lot of hard work that goes into this, so I really want to thank her for that. I also want to thank Mayor Heading, who, though he is our mayor, he was not necessarily thinking he was going to have to be a spokesman on this COVID thing week after week in front of the press, and he's done a wonderful job with that. So I thank you for that. And I also want to thank our city manager, Scott Collins, who does so much with so little, and who has so many employees who work for him, who appreciate working for him. And that's just a great accomplishment, and it says a lot for our city manager. So thanks to all three of you.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate that very much. Zeke, next public comment, please.
At this time, nobody else has their hand raised in the queue.
Okay, with that, I will go ahead and close public comment. I'll thank Ms. Winholtz for her comment regarding special meeting times. the special meetings are held usually when there are significant items that need to be considered by council. And I take your point about perhaps this is not the best time to hold meetings, and we'll take that under advisement with staff as we set agendas and look at what might be a better or more appropriate time to get information out to the community so that more people are available to participate. So thanks for those comments, Betty. I do appreciate that. With that, I'll go ahead and bring us to item A, the consent agenda. And let me go ahead and open up public comment for consent agenda. This is public comment for item A, our consent agenda. Zeke, any public comment?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor, not at this time.
Okay, with that, I will close public comment for our consent agenda and bring it back
Mr.
to council
Mayor?
and ask.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Sorry, there is one person just raised their hand.
Okay, great. We'll go ahead and do that.
Okay.
I'll open it up again. Go ahead.
Okay, Mike, you are on the line.
Welcome, Mike.
Hi, this is Michael Spicurla. I'm an executive director with the County Office of Education, and I just wanted to make a public comment on the recent multi-craft core free apprenticeship program that we did with the Tri-Counties Building Trades, which really helped get more opportunity for local residents get into the building trade apprenticeships, which are essential industry right now. And this is a really important thing of supporting these types of programs, especially with the building trades, where we have head of household career opportunities locally in this community. So I just wanted to acknowledge and thank the City Council for including this on their agenda and encouraging me to look into these programs more. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Zeke, anybody else?
Yes, sir. David Baldwin, you are on the line.
Welcome, David.
David, you need to unmute yourself.
Okay, how about now?
Yes.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. I didn't see I think I was in the wrong section there to raise my hand on that item, but I too wanted to just congratulate and thank the council for recognizing the MC3 and pre-apprenticeship program. I'm the business manager now for the plumbers and steam fitters in San Luis Obispo, and I just in the last couple hours and couple days had the opportunity to put a few of these young folks to work. They completed their MC3 program and then made application and went through the interview and math test process for the San Luis Obispo County Plumbers and Steam Fitters Union. And they're now members of our apprenticeship program. I've actually just put the second one to work just in the last couple hours. He's going out tomorrow morning to Cal Poly. He'll be working for ACO Engineering out there on his first project. He was just sort of really excited, and I'm excited to have the opportunity to put him to work. If you'll recall, some months back when members of the building trades spoke to the council, these are one of the programs that the building trades members were bringing up that are so important to the community and putting our young folks to work. And I hope when the opportunity arises again that the council will see to it to take action and endorse some of these programs. And I'm just happy to see it coming forth and see it come to fruition. So thank you very much. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Appreciate that. Zeke, any other public comment?
Yes, sir. Joshua Mandrano, you are on the line.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you very much. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Fantastic. Well, as stated, my name is Joshua Medrano. I am the Executive Secretary of the Tri-Counties Building Trades. And I would just like to thank you, the Morro Bay City Council and the city staff for bringing forward this resolution in support of the multi-craft core curriculum pre-apprenticeship training program. The SLO MC3 program is a partnership between the Tri-Counties Building Trades and the San Luis Obispo County Office of Education. And the 120-hour curriculum was developed by the North American Building Trades Unions, and it is designed to prepare graduates for local construction trades apprenticeship programs where people work full-time while continuing their education and apprenticeship program. And completing the MC3 program is a great first step on the path to a rewarding career here locally in the building and construction trades. The MC3 cohort that just graduated finished the program in mid-November, and the next cohort is scheduled to begin in February, March of 2021. And we cannot thank you enough for your support through everything and look forward to continuing this fruitful partnership. Blessings to you and yours during the holiday seasons. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Joshua. And Zeke, any other public comment?
No, sir, not at this time.
Okay, thanks so much. With that, we'll go ahead and close public comment for the consent agenda, bring it back to council, and either entertain a motion to approve our items, or if there are any to pull, consider that.
I move to approve consent agenda.
I'll go ahead and second. So motion by Council Member Davis to approve.
Mayor.
Yes.
Sorry, I was on mute. I would like to pull a couple.
Okay, which ones?
A6 and A8, if I could.
Okay, A6 and A8. Anybody else? Okay, Councilmember Davis, if you would amend your approval for A1 through 5 and A7.
Yes, that is my motion.
Okay, I will go ahead and second that change and amendment, and go ahead and do a roll call vote for those items.
Councilmember Davis?
Yes.
Mayor Heading?
Yes.
Councilmember Addis?
Yes.
Councilmember Heller?
Yes.
And Councilmember McPherson?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, Councilmember Addis, item A6, please.
Could I do A8 first? It's a little easier.
We'll have to take a vote. No, I'm just kidding. Absolutely. A8, go ahead.
I really wanted to say thank you to the mayor, to staff, to council for this resolution. I think it's important that we're thinking about our future workforce, and these pre-apprenticeship programs are critical. I know that council voted unanimously, if I remember correctly, to put a local work provision in for our conveyance project, and I'm interested to see the progress on that. So I'm hoping that with the local work provision and the contract that we actually get local work out of that, and I think it'll be important that we get a report back on that. But at the moment, I want to say thank you and just congratulate the graduates of the pre-apprentice program. And I'd be happy to make a motion to approve this item.
And I'd be happy to second that. I'm happy to also bring that proclamation forward. Thank you for that recognition. Any further discussion on item A-8? If not, a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Addis?
Yes.
Mayor Heading?
Yes.
Councilmember Davis?
Yes.
Councilmember Heller?
Yes.
And Councilmember McPherson?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. And Councilmember Addis, item A-6, please.
Yeah, so A6 is about Morro Bay contracting for prison work crews. And I really struggled with this item, especially in light of council voting unanimously to declare racism a public health crisis. And I think in light of information that is coming out around incarceration and rates of Black and brown people who end up in the prison system. Some people call the prison system the new Jim Crow. And when I looked at these reimbursements, $2.25 a day for an inmate, a crew inmate, and $3 a day for a lead man inmate, I really struggled with the idea that we would be using city funds to pay for prison labor, knowing that there are so many issues with our prison system. And so I just wanted to bring that forward for deeper conversation. I know it's a practice that has gone on for a long time. I did talk to another city who decided not to do these contracts anymore. I don't know how many other cities do this. I don't know if inmates choose to do this kind of labor. I kind of assume they do, but I'm not sure. But I have grave concerns about city contracting at such a low wage, knowing the vast problems that we have with our incarceration system, and wondering if this is really how we want to spend our city funds, if it's a productive program, if it's helping anybody, and if it's actually helping the city.
Thank you for that. And maybe I could call on Mr. Mueller and or Mr. Bishop, if he's with us, to, I know we do have a history. I did read this obviously in detail, the contract. I know we have a history of utilizing this system for city work, and perhaps we could get some clarification either from Mr. Collins, Mr. Mueller, or Mr. Bishop on the intent behind the rates. Are there limitations? Are they, as Councilmember Addis has indicated, inappropriately low, which would disadvantage perhaps individuals of challenged ethnic groups, so to speak, to receive less than appropriate financial remuneration? So can I open it up to staff and maybe get some feedback, please?
Sure. The rate is, if I'm not mistaken, is established by the state. It's not the city. We have a rate we pay the state, and they pay the wages they established with the inmates. Our understanding is the inmates seek out these opportunities to get them out of prison, get some skill sets that may otherwise not have, and make them potentially more productive upon exiting the criminal justice system. Last year, we didn't use them the full fiscal year because of COVID, but so it's hard to get a glance if this is a typical trend, but doing it over the past 30 years. But in fiscal year 1920, we utilized about 428 hours of their labor, anywhere from weed abatement to tree trimming, hedging, and other consolidated maintenance support. The full freighted amount is about $20 per hour to pay for all the service that goes along with that, which is lower than we would typically pay for a maintenance employee, which usually, once you factor in taxes and benefits, it's about $30 or 50% more for that hour. Mike Wilcox was the manager of the program. He left us when we had to make our cuts in our staffing. So he was sort of the holder of the program, but I know Joe and Rob probably have a little bit of background, Rob Levick, that is. But our understanding is this is work that they seek, that it beats a lot of the other stuff they would otherwise do in prison. But I'll turn to Rob or Joe if they have any more to add to that.
This is Rob Levick, city engineer. The city's been using off and on over the last at least 14 years, working with CMC to provide support for our consolidated maintenance activities. As Scott described, heavy vegetation removal to homeless camp cleanup. These prisoners, from what I understand, are within 6 months of being released, so they're a low risk as far as wanting to escape. So they are allowed to join these community workforces. The other activity that they are also allowed to participate in, which we've used in the past, is the fire crews. So when they're not off fighting fires, they're experienced sawyers and have helped us with extensive creek clearing. As far as social justice goes, and whether it is equitable for the city to participate in the program, really, I believe that is more of a decision for council rather than staff.
Thank you, Mr. Levick. Any other comments from staff? Mr. Mueller, Mr. Mueller with us? Okay.
Yeah,
I have another question.
Sure. Go ahead, Joe.
No, I'll just echo what Rob said. This program has been really a benefit to the city, and we have just had a great relationship with the program, and it's worked out well for us. So we'd like to see it continue as far as staffing goes, because these inmates that we have had the experience to at least work with. From a distance, of course, are hard workers, and they definitely, seem to enjoy what they're doing.
Go ahead, Councilmember Addis. You had further questions.
Oh, I just was wondering. I know, when I don't know if it's CAL FIRE. I see the fire chief just popped on camera, but I know that inmates have been used for fire services. And up until incredibly recently, even though it was said that that was helping them gain job skills, they actually were not eligible for employment in fire departments. And so I'm wondering if the skills, I know we're saying these inmates are gaining skills, I'm wondering if they'd be eligible for employment with the skills that they have in the city of Morro Bay.
Mr. Mayor, if you wouldn't mind if I'd like to make a comment about this, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Chief.
So I've been working with inmate crews for 36 years for not just only for helping our city out with clearing, but also on large-scale fires and even fires within our local area. I see a great program out of this. I see happy inmates. I see inmates that want to be productive. They want to learn a skill set. They want to get outside. They want to use their hands. I see them treated very well by not only the CMC crew that's there to watch over them, but also by the fire captains and fire battalion chiefs from CAL FIRE that treat them very well. Yeah, for a while they weren't able to get a job in California, but they would have. I have known a few inmate crew members that have received jobs in like Indian reservations or even out of state. So they do learn a job set skill, and I think the most thing, they just learn the pride and the value of being part of a team and learning life skills when they do it. Not only do they do fire prevention and fire attack methods for us, but they also provide the food unit for these large-scale fires. I think they have 5 units in the state, and they produce a great product. They're happy, always on time. I never ever have seen a inmate had to be disciplined and on a situation ever. And I think there's a great value to the development of the inmate to allow them to get jobs when they get out, because they are getting jobs, and especially now in California. Now they can apply for like positions in CAL FIRE for some of the hand crew positions that they have. So I think there's a great value in the program.
Thank you, Chief. And the specific question for Mr. Leivik or Mueller, are the skill sets obtained with regard to the non-fire related job skills, are they eligible to be hired by the city upon release?
That's a good question by Councilman Addis. I think the skills that they can gain and what Chief Knuckles said, sort of the being brought into a positive kind of relationship with work and other people could be a benefit. And, I believe we have a history in some respects of taking what we'd call calculated risks on people who may have an alternative background. We sort of have to weigh that with other applicants, but I wouldn't see us saying, well, we wouldn't consider somebody who's had a record in prison. That's discriminatory unless there are, certain crimes that are levels of crime committed. We wouldn't consider that. But, the fact that they're taking this stuff on as they're beginning to consider exiting the system, these are the kind of benefits plus any other thing the state can provide to help them transition that could ensure that they don't recidivate and get back into the system.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Go ahead, Councilmember Addis. Looks like you're another question.
Just one more question. Of whether it's $225 a day or $20 an hour, do the inmates see any of that money? Or is this whole thing that they gain the experience?
If you don't mind, I'd like to answer that question, because I did ask that question once before, because on the fire line, they get the same amount of money, plus a little bit more, I think. They're only allowed to have so much cash in the prison system, because they use it for their stores they have inside the prison. They're not allowed to have a large amount of cash. So actually, the cash amount, it was dictated by the men's calling or the prison system to make sure they don't have a large amount of cash in the prison system. But yes, they do get that, and they use it for their convenient things they can buy within the prison.
Thank you, Chief. Are there other council?
You're saying that,
go ahead, Don.
Just to clarify, you're saying they got $225 a day?
That's correct. They get credited, and it goes towards their purchases at the convenience store they have inside the prison.
Other council questions?
Yeah, I have one. So, Don, interesting point that you brought up. What other cities have you talked to who have decided not to participate in the program?
What I heard was that Grover had stopped a while ago, not because of social justice issues, but because they couldn't get the labor, and they found that it was no longer benefiting their city. I wasn't able to get in touch with other cities. That was one of the questions I had for staff, was if other cities in the county, if this is, every city in the county does this, some cities do it, some cities don't do it.
Okay, thanks.
Does anybody know on staff what other cities in the county may be doing it?
When I was working for Tascadero Fire Department, we used crews to help us out with fire line building and creek cleaning.
I know the County of San Luis Obispo uses the inmate crews.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Addis, how would you like to proceed, or I'll turn it over to the full council for a recommendation?
I'm fine. Yeah, if you want to turn it over to council, I'm fine with that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those questions. I'll entertain a motion from council.
I move that we approve item A6.
I'll second that.
Motion by Councilmember McPherson to approve item A6, second by Councilmember Davis. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go for a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember McPherson?
Yes.
Councilmember Davis?
Yes.
Councilmember Addis?
No.
Councilmember Heller?
Yes.
And Mayor Heading?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-1.
Thank you for that robust discussion. And with that, let me just get my, I almost said let me get myself turned on here, but let me get my video on and move us to item C-1, which is our first business item. This is a resolution declaring the results of the November 3rd, 2020 general municipal election and the second reading adoption of the ordinance number 635, repealing Chapter 3.22 and adopting Chapter 3.26 of the Morro Bay Municipal Code to increase the city's transactions and use tax from 0.5 to 1.5%. And I will turn it over to Ms. Swanson, please.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. Staff is presenting for council approval a resolution declaring the result of the November 3rd election as certified by the County Clerk Recorder's Office. Based on these results, John Heading was elected to the office of mayor for a 2-year term, and Red Davis and Laurel Barton were elected to the office of council member for 4-year terms. In addition, Morro Bay voters approved Measure E20, a general tax measure increasing the city's transactions and use tax from 0.5 to 1.5%. I think it's important to note that the number of Morro Bay registered voters increased by nearly 600 people in this election, and voter turnout was over 90%. That's a 5% increase from the 2016 presidential election. Staff recommends the council adopt resolution number 104-20, declaring the results of the November 3rd general municipal election, and adopt by second reading and by title only with further reading waived ordinance number 635, entitled An Ordinance of the City Council of the City of Morro Bay, California, repealing Chapter 3.22 and adopting Chapter 3.26 of the Morro Bay Municipal Code to increase the city's transaction and use tax rate from 0.5 to 1.5%.
Thank you, Ms. Swanson. And with that, I will go ahead and open up public comment. This is for business item C-1, and public comment is now open. Zeke, anybody on the line for comment?
Oh, Mr. Mayor, there's nobody with their hand raised in the queue at this time.
Okay, great. I will go ahead and close public comment, bring it back to council, and go ahead and entertain a motion.
I would like to make.
I'll move to approve.
So we do have a motion to approve by Council Member Addis, who slid in there, and Council Member McPherson. Go ahead. I think you were about to.
I was about to make the motion, but I'll second the motion.
Okay. So a motion by Council Member Addis for approval of item C-1, including the resolution and the tax rate, as well as the second by Council Member McPherson. Any further discussion?
I would just like to make a few comments if I could.
Certainly.
Okay. I just wanted to thank the citizens of Morro Bay for recognizing the importance of this sales tax measure to the financial well-being of Morro Bay. A clear majority, 58.55%, supported the measure. And while all of the measures in San Luis Obispo County passed, this one passed with the second highest next to Atascadero. And given that now over 90% of the voters voted, I think we have a clear mandate for what they want and what they're willing to support and pay for. And I just wanted to thank the Citizens Committee that was formed to help educate the public about the measure, and to those who contributed money so that we could print and mail informational literature. And I wanted to especially thank the co-chairs of that committee who really worked very hard, Homer Alexander and Glenn Silloway. And another thank you goes out to the distinguished citizens who wrote the arguments in favor of Measure E and the rebuttal to the no argument. And the volunteers that went door to door. This was a community effort for the community's benefit, and it saved our services.
Thank you, and well stated, Council Member McPherson. I will also just add my thanks to our citizens for passing this important measure. This bridges a gap in our community budget, city budget, that will allow us to continue to provide public safety services that the Morro Bay community holds very highly and dear to their hearts, as evidenced by input received by this council previously. I'm proud of the fact that we have this opportunity now to stabilize, hopefully, our revenue streams and improve them in the future to continue to offer the superior services provided by our public safety individuals and staff in this community. So any other comments? Hearing none. Oh,
I'd like to just say, I just would like to say 90% turnout. Wow. I mean, I'm so impressed and proud to be a resident of Morro Bay when I hear those numbers. I tell everybody. So thank you, everybody who voted. And the 10% of you, I got my eye on you for next time. So.
Thank you. Councilmember Addis, go ahead.
Sure. I just wanted to also congratulate the candidates who won, to thank the candidates who didn't win for running nonetheless, and to thank the community for coming together around giving a tiny bit of breathing room in our budget. We know that there's still plenty more work to do, but I do think this is a step in the right direction. And as Councilmember McPherson says, so many people came together to make that happen, and very much appreciate that work.
Thank you for that. Councilmember Davis, any comments?
Yes. as Dawn said, I think that it is important to especially thank candidates Betty Winholtz and Richard Sadowski and John Weiss for stepping up to run for these important offices. Their viewpoint and opinions about the city's future were their own, and they spoke well about how they wanted the city to proceed. And by their running, they gave the voters a clear choice, which I think is important in any election, is that the voters are presented with options from which they wish to choose. So I want to thank all the candidates who ran for office, and it was a very good campaign. I didn't detect any negative aspects about the campaign, so I just want to thank everybody. And I want to encourage other moral-based citizens to consider running for office. And you might begin by volunteering for one of the advisory boards. There are plenty of opportunities to do that this month. Submit your application, and you can become a part of important decision-making for this city. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Councilmember Davis. And with that, I'll go ahead and ask for a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Addis.
Yes.
Councilmember McPherson.
Yes.
Councilmember Davis.
Yes.
Councilmember Heller.
Yes.
And Mayor Heading.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you for that. That brings us to business item number C-2. This is adoption of resolution number 105-20, authorizing our city manager to execute agreements with the California Department of Tax and Fee Administration for implementation of local transactions and use tax, adoption of resolution 106-20, authorizing the examination of transactions, sales, and use tax records, and authorize city manager to execute and file additional agreements, letters, and forms from CDFTA and other appropriate state agencies as required for implementation of the local transactions and use tax. And I will turn it over to our city attorney.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. You have before you tonight for this item approval of 2 contracts and a resolution for those 2 contracts, and also authorization to the city manager to conduct some administrative procedures and some other agreements to be approved, all for the California Department of Tax and Fee Administration to actually prepare for, implement, and then continue to administer the sales tax that was approved by the voters. The items before the council are standard. They're basically state forms that any city, county, or agency that has a tax like this for the CDTFA to collect need to fill out and approve. And specifically, there's a resolution that approves 2 contracts with the CDTFA. One of them is for them to do the preparatory work to start collecting the sales tax next year. The second one is then to continue doing regular administrative work for the collection of the sales tax. There's also a resolution that's authorizing examination of financial records by both executive staff as well as city consultants. There are provisions in there to make sure that the records are only examined for purposes related to the sales tax itself and the generation of the revenue. And then the last action that council is being asked to approve is to authorize the city manager to approve a number of other items. These include providing certain forms to the state, lists of individuals at the city, et cetera. And so if there's any questions, I'm more than happy to answer those. And otherwise, I'll turn it over to the mayor.
Great. Any council questions before I open public comment? Okay, if not, then this is public comment for item C-2 on our agenda this evening. I'll go ahead and open public comment.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, we have Sean Green.
Okay, great. Sean, welcome.
Yes, Council. I just had one quick comment that doesn't necessarily relate to California taxation, but it's just a quick plug for city management to create a pass-through situation as much as possible, infrastructure-wise, software-wise, when we start getting into tax collection, and then to also duplicate that process for TOT collection. There are way too many manual entries and manual processes that are currently in place for both sales tax and TOT, and the more we can streamline that, the better. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean, for that. Appreciate that. And Zeke, any other public comment?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor, not at this time.
Okay, with that, I'll go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to council. And I'll go ahead and entertain a motion.
I move approval of item C2.
I'll second.
Motion by Councilmember Heller for approval of item C2 with the items noted in the staff recommendation. Second by Councilmember Addis. And any further discussion? If not, we'll go ahead and take a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Heller?
Yes.
Councilmember Addis?
Yes.
Councilmember Davis?
Yes.
Councilmember McPherson?
Yes.
And Mayor Heading?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Great, thank you so much for that. That brings us to item C-3. This would be comments by current mayor and council members. And let's go ahead and start with Councilmember Davis. Or Councilmember Davis, any comments?
Not at this time, no.
Thank you. Councilmember Addis.
Sure. I want to thank Councilmember McPherson for her service and just give some very brief comments about my last 2 years on council as we're coming up on a little bit of a change. And some of the things I want to appreciate Councilmember McPherson for, taking part in what I see as much of the progress that we've made. When I ran, I focused on 5 different areas: housing, economic development, protecting and promoting our coast, having future-ready infrastructure, and having all voices heard. And I certainly ran in part because I wanted to be on a council and be part of the decision-making and try to move some of these things forward. And I think that we have all been fortunate to have Councilmember McPherson's voice and help us move many of these things forward. In housing, it's been things such as the housing element getting approved, us as a council approving one of the first 100% low-income developments since the 80s, and our vacation rental ordinance, which I don't think anybody wanted to dive headlong into, but we were able to come out of that successfully. We've done a ton in terms of economic development. We have the community to thank for the passage of Measure E, but we also have a balanced budget, and we had to do that. I won't call it on the fly, but we had to do it amidst COVID and being proactive and making some very hard decisions. I mentioned the local work provisions, which in our contract for our conveyance system, which I do feel like are part of economic development. I'm excited that we moved forward a chamber contract and updated the harbor lease policy. And one of the things that I saw as a need when I was campaigning a couple years ago and heard about a bit from the Harbor Department was the RV camping program. And so I'm glad to see that that has gotten underway. And, getting to start work on Dog Beach and the Chevron property in terms of protecting our coast, putting effort into cleaning up the waterfront and addressing that with the Trash Heroes program and making progress, most importantly, to move our sewer off the beach. I think that's a huge way that we're going to protect our coast. One of my goals was future-ready infrastructure, and we've made progress on the WRF and the One Water Plan. And then with having all voices heard, I can't believe it, but I think it's only been a couple years that we've used Polco. And I know Councilmember McPherson has done many community forums, as have all of us on council. But also, when I think about having all voices heard, I think about the work that has happened to make sure that we listen to our business and our residents in response to COVID. Sometimes we put plans in place and then switched when we've heard from the community, and I think that's been important. And Morro Bay has also had a strong voice when it comes to racism, and we did declare racism a public health crisis. And all of those things for me, knowing that I was coming in with certain goals in mind, I've been thankful to be part of a council that has largely helped move some of that vision forward. But I also want to add, in the last 2 years, and especially the last 9 months, I guess, that we've been in COVID since March, that there's been tremendous work on the part of staff with our emergency response. We were the first in the county to declare a local emergency. A lot of work and a lot of talk tonight about the business grants. Having updated the emergency management plan doesn't feel like a huge thing, but it really is. And then all of the HEROES programs have been really important, I think, as we go through COVID. So I'm excited to continue on council. I thank Councilmember McPherson for her service. I'm excited for the incoming council as well.
Well stated, Councilmember Addis. Thank you for that exquisite set of comments. Very much appreciated. Councilmember Heller, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to start off by thanking staff. I mean, they're the unfortunate folks that have to deal with us elected officials as we come and go through the doors, and they basically hold the city together in the interim and deal with the different personalities and the issues that come up. And I think top to bottom, staff at this city has done an outstanding job just on a normal basis, but under current conditions, they've done a remarkable job. And you guys are great. Candidates who ran for office, it takes a lot to run for office, and you got to step up and put in a ton of time and effort, and it's not easy. And I want to compliment the people who ran for office and congratulate you for making that effort and doing that. You all have a lot to be proud of. And I'm so proud, as I mentioned earlier, that we got a 90% voter turnout in this city, which is just remarkable. And lastly, Marlis, you're going to be missed. I got to tell you, I'm always impressed at how informed you are at every meeting. You obviously have read the minutes in detail and asked questions, which are always intelligent and on point. And you will be missed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Heller. And also appreciate your comments and especially your recognition of staff as well. For myself, it really is, has been an extreme pleasure working with Councilmember McPherson. It actually breaks my heart to see you leave, Councilmember McPherson. Your tenacity, I wrote down some descriptive terms when I think of you. You're tenacious, caring, analytical, thoughtful, kind, considerate, concise, sympathetic, a clear communicator. And you are a precious resource for this community. And I have had the pleasure of working with you on a number of subcommittees as well as on council for 4 years. And I am so grateful for that opportunity and will cherish the time that we've spent together. I wish you the best in your semi-retirement because I know you'll be volunteering in the community for lots of things. I wish you great travels with Glenn. I know that you have plans once this pandemic passes to visit other places in the world, and I wish you the best. And in the interim, rest and respite because you have worked very hard the last 4 years. I am also very thankful to our community. We have a great community that's engaged and involved. I appreciate the candidates that also stepped up to run for office. I'm thankful that the courage to do so motivated them to step forward, and I want to congratulate them for an effort of what I consider to be a fair, honest, and truthful interchange and debate among all the candidates, which I respect greatly. I am thankful for a community, as mentioned by all of you, that turned out for the election. Wow, what a response on the part of our voters. And you know, voting is a right, but also a privilege. And it's the opportunity to exercise your voice in decision-making with regard to what happens here with regard to us at the local level. And I'm so grateful for an engaged community. And again, just such a great turnout. You, Councilmember Heller, mentioned staff. It's a joy to work with our staff. You're also helpful and kind. Caring, we ask thousands of questions, and you're always there to provide information and give us feedback and direction on where to find answers when we struggle to do that. And I'm so appreciative of the leadership on the part of our city manager and all of the staff that serve this great city, as evidenced tonight by a large number of individuals that have been here collectively for over 185 years. And that says something about longevity and what it means to be in a community and part of a community. And so thank you so much for all that you all do. Councilmember Heller, Councilmember Addis, and Councilmember Davis. It's a great pleasure working with you. I'll have comments in a moment about that. But for now, I will ask Mr. Collins if you have any comments, and then turn it over to Councilmember McPherson.
Thank you, and I'll keep my remarks brief and to say thank you to all the council members and the mayor for the excellent past 2 years, and echo Councilmember Heller's statement about 90% turnout. It's probably one of the highest in the country, which says a lot about our community, and you know, grateful that we have people who run for office, and we've had excellent city council members for a long time running. You know, and as far as Councilmember McPherson's concerned, you know, it's gonna be hard to see her go. She's such a brilliant person, very respectful, engages in dialogue, does her research, uses logic to develop positions on things, the kind of thing we'd love to see politicians at the higher level embrace, and just exemplifies what makes local government the best form of government as far as I'm concerned. I may be biased in that, of course. And I just appreciate how much she listens to those in the community, to staff, to her colleagues, to help make good decisions. And I believe that she made a lot of things better, and the city made better policy because of being engaged, and particularly the wharf project. I know it's been a challenge. I know there's different levels of support in the community and concerns, but the project is much better because of her engagement on the wharf committee, which started before with former Mayor Irons, and she's been a core part of that team. And I just know from the discussions with her that we've made it better because of her input. So we're greatly going to miss her and leadership on things like the vacation rental ordinance and just really figuring out how to engage the community effectively. So I just want to say thank you, Marlis, for your leadership, and we will miss you.
Thank you, Scott. And I failed to mention that Councilmember McPherson is a great break dancer, and there will be, in 2024, that will become an Olympic sport as well. Councilmember McPherson,
you forgot
what can you say?
You forgot to mention that I'm a great drinker.
Well, I was going to tell you later, but.
Okay, thank you. No, I want to thank all of you so much for the very kind remarks. They're very much appreciated by me. I have to say that serving as your council member has been one of the most memorable experiences of my life. And I have very mixed feelings about my term ending. It's been an honor to serve this community for the past 4 years, and I have met so many incredible people and made so many new friends. Some of you may know that my professional training was as a political scientist, but I can tell you that observing and studying something is not the same thing as doing it, and I have learned so much by doing it. I have learned how unique and special Morro Bay is, how generous our community members are, how local government works in real life, and I may add, it's much more complicated than it looks, about the give and take of making decisions in a civil manner in full view of the public, and that's not easy to do, about the extraordinary competence and dedication of our city staff, and lastly, I have learned some things about myself, about what I care about and what I'm capable of. So I'm truly going to miss all of it. My colleagues on the council, community members, the city staff, and representing my community. And I just want to thank each and every one of you for everything you've done to help me do a better job for the past 4 years. I appreciate and respect my colleagues on the council for being civil, thoughtful, kind, deliberative, and supportive. And that includes not only the current council members, but also former Mayor Jamie Irons and Council Member Matt Makowetsky, who I served with for 2 years. We have not always voted the same way on issues, but we have always put those differences behind us and remained collegial in our work together. The staff, I cannot say enough about our staff. I don't want to single anyone out because I might miss somebody. I just want to say that I admire them and I will miss seeing them on a regular basis. To a person, they have a high degree of competence and integrity. They care about this city and they demonstrate their dedication in doing a good job for the community every day in every way. To all the community organizations and citizens who have encouraged and supported and helped me, thank you. Morro Bay is so fortunate to have so many caring individuals who give freely of their time, energies, and resources to make this a better, more beautiful place to live. Lastly, I want to thank my life partner, Glenn Silloway, who didn't want me to run for office in the first place. But when I decided to run, he fully supported me and has been by my side and on my side throughout my tenure. As most of you know, he's done his own part to help this community. Finally, I'm gratified that Laurel Barton was willing to run for council. I know she will be an excellent council member. I congratulate Mayor Heading and Councilmember Davis on their reelection, and I thank the council members who didn't make it, who ran and did a great job of presenting an opposite point of view. Together with council members Addis and Heller, the current council will do good work. I wanted to mention that I received an extremely thoughtful parting gift from the city, brought to me personally by the city manager. It is a framed plaque that contains a copy of the short-term vacation rental ordinance, signed by members of the city staff and council members I have served with. It's a special because I was determined to see it enacted while I was in office. I will treasure it as a permanent reminder of a very special time in my life. Even though I am leaving the council, I'm not leaving Morro Bay. I want to continue to help the community in any way I can. I wish this new council the best. We will conquer the COVID pandemic, and I believe Morro Bay's future is bright. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember McPherson. And it's hard, but unfortunately, we're going to cut you out on the video and move to our next item. But again, our thanks to you. We appreciate you greatly for your service and look forward to seeing you in the community. Thank you, and have a very, very wonderful holiday. With that, I'll move us to item C4. This is the oath of office for Mayor-elect myself and Councilmember-elect Laurel Barton and Robert Davis. And I believe I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Swanson for the swearing in.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to welcome Councilmember-elect Laurel Barton to the meeting, and we will begin by issuing her oath of office. Laurel, if you'd like to turn your camera on and unmute yourself, we can begin. Okay. There you are. Wonderful. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Laurel Barton,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservations
or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And next, Councilmember Davis, please raise your right hand and repeat after me.
Yes.
I state your name.
I, Robert Fuller Davis,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor.
And Mayor Heading,
Yes.
please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, John Heading,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
And thank you so much. Dana, thank you for that. Welcome, Councilmember Barton. It's great to have you as part of the team. And thank you again, Ms. Swanson, for swearing us all in. So with that, I will move us to item C-5. That would be comments by newly elected mayor and newly elected council members. I'll go ahead and begin. I want to thank the community for the opportunity to continue to serve. For myself, it's a labor of love. I've had the opportunity to have a long and wonderful career in healthcare, and I now am blessed with the opportunity to give back to my community and serve as an elected official. I discharge my duties with great joy and excitement. It's truly, as I mentioned previously, a pleasure to work with our city staff, to engage with our community members, and also to debate with our city council members. I so look forward to continuing my relationship with Council Member Addis, Council Member Davis, Council Member Heller, and to begin a new relationship with Council Member Barton, whom I all look forward to serving with this next 2 years of my elected period. I especially want to thank my wife, Sue, who allowed me to continue to serve in this capacity. And I say allowed me with her great blessing, giving me the opportunity to be away and serve the community is truly something that's special to me. However, I honestly think that she wouldn't know what to do with me if I was home all the time. And so that may be a great blessing to her as well. But I'm thankful for family. I have a daughter in the community, a son-in-law, and 2 grandchildren who've been very supportive. And I'm just grateful to be an example with and for them in my continued service to the community, and promise to do my best to faithfully execute this office of mayor. So thank you with that, and we will move to Councilmember Davis and then Councilmember Barton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I feel humble when the electors choose me to take a leadership role. And I'm proud that Morro Bay voters elected me to council for a second term. Re-election is special because the voters have had 4 years to observe me and decide what they think of me, and they thought enough of me to re-elect me, and I truly appreciate that. Every 2 years when we change council membership, I like to go back and review what the city has accomplished during the past term. And I know Dawn mentioned a lot of these things in her speech a little bit ago. We are a working council, and I'm very proud of what we do. So I went through agendas and I found 50 major accomplishments that we have performed during just the past 2 years. We approved the water reclamation facility conveyance pipeline alignment with a dual pump station for increased efficiency. We established cannabis tax rates for sales in Morro Bay. We have twice sent delegations to Washington, D.C. during the California Marine Affairs and Navigation Conference to successfully advocate for harbor dredging funds. We adopted 2 balanced budgets, even in the face of extraordinary COVID expenses. We approved improvements to the Morro Bay Transit Center. We approved reinstating the position of school resource officer to be paid for by the school district. We approved a partnership agreement with Project Surf Camp. We changed regular council meeting times to begin at 5:30 and end at 9:30. We approved a license agreement for Cal Poly to use a portion of the North T Pier for a floating research and educational dock. We contracted with Chamber of Commerce to provide economic development support services. We hosted an Amgen Tour of California stage finish in 2019. We purchased new chairs for more comfortable audience participation at the Veterans Building, and God grant that we go back there soon. We expanded the city's utility discount program to allow year-round enrollment and to include mobile home park and apartment tenants who do not have a separate water bill. We added security features to restrict accessibility and enhance safety for City Hall employees. We approved a lease for 3 stacks and a rock to move temporarily into the old aquarium site. We added local hire requirements to city contracts. We negotiated with the Police Officers Association to share 1% of PERS contributions from payroll. We added short-term vacation rentals to the T-Bid Assessment District to pay 3% toward promotion of Morro Bay as a tourist destination. We updated City Council and advisory body policies. We updated the cost allocation plan and the master fee schedule. We approved a Cloisters landscape master plan, and we are executing it. We adopted an ordinance that prohibits sale of vaping products, establishes a tobacco retailer licensing program, and enhances secondhand smoking restrictions. We approved EPA financing for the WRF at an interest rate of 1.8%. We applied for and received approval of state revolving fund low interest financing and a grant to support the WRF. We signed a memorandum of understanding to transfer ownership of Dog Beach from Chevron to the city of Morro Bay at no cost. We approved a grant opportunity to place 6 electric vehicle charging ports on the waterfront. We approved a new 83-room hotel on Atascadero Road next to the high school. In response to the COVID pandemic, we activated the city's short-term fiscal emergency plan and activated the Emergency Operations Center. We deferred TOT payments and late fees and title and trust lease payments and late fees. We designated the 3rd Saturday of June to be Juneteenth Day. We approved an open space conservation agreement with the Morro Bay Open Space Alliance in return for a voluntary contribution to the city of $265,000, which was the cost of acquiring Eagle Rock as a permanent city park. We adopted a revised harbor lease management policy and directed staff to explore hiring a property manager to oversee the lease program. We approved temporary outdoor dining and sales using city right-of-way and other private outdoor spaces to support the COVID-19 economic recovery. We directed staff to establish RV camping on city-owned public areas as revenue enhancements to the Harbor Department. We approved additional expenditures for trash collection on weekends in popular visitor areas. We amended the municipal code to permit sale, cultivation, manufacturing, and testing of cannabis for adult use. We approved sidewalk vending permit requirements. We adopted a resolution declaring that racism is a public health crisis and recommending that public health officials declare racism a public health emergency. We approved a 35-unit affordable housing project on Atascadero Road that will provide homes for households that earn between $21,000 and $43,000 per year at affordable rent. We unanimously approved a ballot measure allowing voters to decide whether to increase the city's sales tax 1 cent to continue to provide essential core services to residents. We approved a contract with Digital West to provide broadband internet services to city offices and to locate an emergency backup communications center at the fire station. We adopted an 8-year housing element into our general plan. We increased penalties for unauthorized camping throughout the city. We approved a proposal for the Ocean Protection Council to upgrade the Rock parking lot to reduce polluted stormwater runoff to the ocean. We approved a T-bid recommendation to transition the tourism management function to a nonprofit group run by lodging operators. We adopted a short-term rental ordinance. We funded a small business grant program to support local businesses affected by COVID-19. And we contracted with Morro Bay Chamber of Commerce to assist staff in reviewing and improving the planning and development review process. The person I most treasure in the world is my wife, Gail. One of the unforeseen benefits of serving in this public office has been an enrichment of our relationship. When I decided that I wanted to run for office 5 years ago, Gail did not support that. And it was difficult for me to continue. And then one day, there was a complete turnaround. And it made all the difference in the world. She became my campaign manager, my political consultant, and my censor. I've learned that before I make a speech or send an email, I ask Gail to read it over first. And I always make changes. And she's always right. And another unforeseen part of this job has been to serve as a role model for my granddaughters, to show them what public service is, how public policy and decision-making make differences in people's lives. And it's an office that's worth pursuing. So once again, I want to thank the voters of Morro Bay for trusting me to continue leading our city forward to meet the extraordinary opportunities for improvement that just seem to keep coming at us. And I want to thank my wife, Gail.
Thank you, Councilmember Davis. Councilmember Barton.
Well, those were lovely, lovely thoughts. I want to say thank you to my committee, to my family, to Marlis for her years of service, and to the voters of Morro Bay for their turnout and support. I'm looking forward to working with my esteemed council colleagues, with the city staff, and the citizens of Morro Bay for the next 4 years.
Great, thank you. And we look forward to getting to work fairly quickly here.
Yeah.
Okay. With that, thank you so much. And we will move to item D, council declaration of future agenda items. Any pressing issues before the new year? Hearing none. Thank you again for this evening. And I will go ahead and adjourn the meeting. The next regular meeting of the Morro Bay City Council will be held on Tuesday, January 12th, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. The Tuesday, December 22nd meeting of 2020 has been canceled per adopted resolution number 01-20. Thank you. Good evening. Be safe and be well, and have a very happy and safe holiday season.
Night all.
Thank you, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, Dana.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.